First bill up this morning be Senate Bill 41, Senator Barrow. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I thank you so very much for indulging me again on this particular bill. We heard at length last week about this particular bill, the merits of this bill, and a testimony from Major Williams and his lovely wife, Nurse Allison, who spoke to their particular situation. And so this bill addresses about 5 major components regarding licensure of all early childhood facilities or centers, making a centralized location for cases that are actually reported. We found out that we were having issues as it relates to whether or not the cases should start with DCFS or with law enforcement. So it addresses that. Creating a state centralized registry, and then clarifications of some definitions. So these are the major components of the bill. Since I last met with you guys, we met with the Department of Children and Family Services, and we met with the chairman. And so there is an agreement, and of course, y'all remember the secretary sitting here saying that if not them, who? But they have agreed to absorb that cost based upon the appropriations that will be coming to them. And what I did not realize was that still was a cost associated with this bill as it related to the Department of Education. And so we will continue to work on that component. And so it's my understanding that this would be based upon appropriations if we are able to get the money that this bill can continue to move forward. So these are the major thrust of the bill. We are still working through, and probably, I'm sure, because the additional cost that's still here is less than $1 million, I'm sure that we'll be able to work with the department or either actually find the appropriations to make sure that the coordination between DOE and DCFS, which is what is my understanding that would need to happen, we'll be able to make that actually come together and create the funding or dedicate the money or appropriate the funding to ensure that it happens. But it's less than $1 million.
Okay, Senator Boudreaux for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Senator Barrow, you're saying the original big portion,
Yes.
as the secretary said, he would his agency would absorb that. The remaining funds, and I just heard you say less than $1 million to what I didn't hear. What agencies?
I'm sorry, Department of Education. So Department of Education and DCFS have to work together as it relates to the registry piece with the licensure part. And so we have not had a direct conversation with DOE, but I'm sure that we will be able to get them to come on board to help us be able to either mitigate that less than $1 million or find the money to appropriate to them.
Okay. So, and that was going to be my next question. While the Secretary of DCFS was here, the Department of Education has not been brought in to discuss what they can do to get the registry up. And I guess just sticking to the financial aspects of your bill, the registry would come at what point? I mean, I've heard the testimony twice, and I'm just trying to see how we continue to move this so that we don't have another couple sit at the table and have to not know who do they contact. Do they contact police? Do they contact DCFS? That last portion that you just referenced with DOE, at what point does that kick in to your bill?
So to my knowledge, it seemed like it would need to happen at the beginning, right? Because we're talking about the coordination of the licensure piece and the coordination in terms of how DOE, because there's some information that, and this is according to DCFS, that they do not want to be made public. Yes. And so in keeping the registry, right now they already check for a criminal background, but if there's anything else that's pending, DCFS do not want that information to be put out until it's fully investigated. And so in terms of that level of coordination that needs to happen with the Department of Education and DCFS, they need to be able to coordinate. But it's my understanding that OTS, when we brought them in, they had some ideas of some things that they felt that they could do that may not really cost us any money. So it may actually really drop.
Okay, all right, and that's and on last week, I made a comment about scaling back, and that's what I was alluding to when I was talking about scaling back. Not take any of the important ingredients out, but whatever money we give DCFS, they will not be able to hire people the next week or the next month. It'll take some time. So that's why I was trying to see how we can get the bill to continue to move forward without it. So that's pretty much answered where I wanted to go. And I think, Mr. Chairman, that they still have some work to be done, with the Department of Education and OTS. But I'm comfortable that if we put the language subject to appropriation, that would stop, stop it from getting out of before we knew we can afford this. So at the appropriate time, I'd like to make sure that we go ahead and allow Senator Barrow to continue to have meetings with those other agencies, so that this bill can clear the Senate.
Okay, I have a set of amendment here, 1528. If we could adopt that, I think everybody's got a copy of that. Senator Edmonds, was your question on the amendment? I mean, on the adoption of the amendment? Okay, I see no objection, amendment adopted. We do have a question from Senator Edmonds
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
on the bill.
There we go. All right, thank you. All right, so just to look through the note, so if the Department of Children and Family Services absorb the 827,696, there's a federal piece of that at 216, and so they are assuming that will be brought into their budget. And then you'll have conversation then with the Department of Education for the remainder, which on the note is showing 877,792, and to see if they can either decrease the amount of money that according to what they're showing here of the specialists that they need in paragraph 2 on page 16, licensing specialists, et cetera. You're going to have that conversation with them, and then to see if they can as well absorb the 877,792. And now with this amendment, then it would be subject to appropriation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so we don't need to discuss necessarily with the department here, but obviously before we would discuss it on the floor, would certainly like to have their input of what their feelings are on that.
Absolutely. And I tried to work over the weekend because when I realized that I was so focused on DCFS that I forgot this component of it, that I did not incorporate them in because I should have. That I realized that I had missed that. But I definitely will have conversations with them. And at the end of the day, if we could move without, and I think we absolutely have to have them, but if there's ways to, going back to Senator Boudreaux's point, in terms of scaling down some aspect of it, then I would be open to that if I had to do that. But at the end of the day, some of the things that I have learned that I did not realize were happening, they absolutely need certain tools. And then in talking to OTS, they share with some things that they have tools that they can utilize. And I want to make sure they're being a part of these conversations because I think that they really can hold the key to make a lot of this a lot more seamless.
I don't have an issue with that. I just are in hopes that you won't run it on the floor until you've heard from the department. We have some clarity.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Senator Jackson.
I think all but one question Edmonds asked. Now, you intend to keep this, Senator, subject to appropriations unless the Department of Education decides they can absorb that cost?
Correct.
And if the fiscal note is brought to zero, then you'll have the opportunity to remove that subject to appropriation?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Senator Boudreaux, was that a motion? Yes, it was. Okay, we have a motion from Senator Boudreaux to pass Senate Bill 41, subject to appropriation. No opposition. Your bill will be reported favorable.
Thank you
As
so very
amended.
much. So the other amendment is already added with CASA. What's that? Y'all adopted it? Okay.
We adopted those last week.